Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly show of What is School For? My name is I'm the CEO of Classroom Without Walls and the host of this weekly live streaming show. You can also listen to the show on the traditional audio-only podcast. Just search What is School For? And you can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and all the places. What is School For? This show is inspired by my interview with Seth Godin. On this show, I interview leading professionals, educators, teachers, parents, and students to come here to discuss, debate, and disrupt education. Our goal is to really future-proof the next generation. And today, I am so honored and so excited to have my dear friend, role model, and inspiration, Rani Mani, on the show to share her journey to come to where she is today. Incredible story, my friends. And also, we're going to share with everyone how she has encouraged herself and her own children to dream big. And you are going to walk away from today's interview with a much better understanding of Rani's story, and you'll feel inspired by her journey, just like how I am inspired by her and my children are inspired by her. And we're also going to talk about emotional resilience and creativity and how to help our children become the best version of who they are. For those of you who don't know who is Rani, and she is the head of Employee Advocacy at my favorite brand, Adobe. I'm a proud Adobe insider and Adobe education leader. So really excited for today's interview. And as always, a big shout out to StreamYard for sponsoring my shows. Over the last 4 years, I have tried almost all the third-party tools to go live. StreamYard is my personal favorite. They are so easy to use and they have excellent customer service. So I have a discount code in the comment section. If you are interested, check them out or feel free to ask me if you have any question related to StreamYard. We are live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Periscope, and on Twitch. And quite a few of you are already here. So great to see you. Let me know in the comment section where you guys are joining us live from, social media-wise and geographically speaking. Without any further ado, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
Yes, I'm so honored. I don't even know how many times I watch your videos and read about your story, and every time I feel so inspired by you. I'm just like so excited and so honored to have this chance to have an in-depth discussion with you. So Rani, as I mentioned earlier, you have such an incredible backstory to get to where you are today. That really shows your positive attitude and your spirit, and as an amazing leader. So share with us your backstory, and so we can get to know you more.
Sure. Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here and your energy, and you're so supportive and encouraging. So I was born of amazing parents who had me while they were in India.
Yeah,
And
we have someone from join us live from India. Sorry to
fantastic.
interrupt you.
My parents are both from Kerala, the very southern tip of India. And so when I was in womb, it was detected through ultrasounds and all that I was not developing the way a child would normally develop. And so then it was discovered that I would be born with a lot of physical challenges, and both parents were under tremendous societal pressure to abort me. And luckily, because the culture, and I cannot speak for India at large because it's a subcontinent, right? But specifically in Kerala, there was this notion that if you were born with a disability, that you would not be able to contribute to society, that you were being punished for past sins, and you would be a burden and an embarrassment to your parents and to your family. And so the best way to relieve you and your parents and your family and society of that suffering would be to abort the fetus. And fortunately for me, my parents did not comply with that. They had a completely different attitude towards this. They were both tremendously spiritual. And my father specifically felt if you were inflicted with any kind of a challenge, that just meant you were extra special in the Lord, and that you were meant to come to earth to teach and to inspire, and that you would have extra superpowers given to you to compensate for whatever challenges you had to deal with. And so, luckily for me, they both immigrated to the US, and I was able to escape, you know, having that awful fate. And then I came and I had this magical childhood with my parents who just completely blessed me with so much support and encouragement, and they absolutely instilled in me this resilience and this determination to succeed against all odds. And honestly, I never felt like I was wanting for anything as a child, you know. And so, um,
Wow, that's like such an incredible story, and kudos to your parents, and they're just like so amazing, so strong. So I want to ask you, I remember you shared in multiple interviews and even in many of your talks that your parents told you that everything is possible as long as you don't think they are impossible. I really love that, and that belief is so amazing. So share with us, how has that belief really influenced you growing up and even to the day of what you do at Adobe and as a mom? So how has that belief influenced you growing up?
yeah. So first of all, that is a quote from a book called The Phantom of the Toll Booth. And and it's something they both absolutely completely embraced and believed. And because of that, I just felt like I grew up believing I was unstoppable,
Mm,
right? That there was absolutely nothing I couldn't do. And so I approach life with this notion of everything is figure outable. And if I have been given a dream, if a dream has been planted in my heart, then clearly I have what it takes to achieve it. And so, with that kind of an attitude, you attack life with this gusto of, try to tell me that I can't do something, right?
mhm,
And
mhm.
so, me, I am particularly sassy and, uh, particularly, what do you call it, rebellious. And so, because of that, I look at things, if they're challenging, I look at it as a fun thing to overcome. And so, that has led me or served me really well at Adobe, because
Hmm.
from that standpoint, you become unflappable, right? Nothing really phases you. And that doesn't mean you're not passionate about things, but at the end of the day, you say to yourself, gosh, no one is dying on my table, right? We all put on our pants one leg at a time. We can figure this out. I mean, so long as you're not doing anything illegal and nobody is dying, everything else kind of falls into place. And so that's what I tell my kids as well. I don't take yourself so seriously. Don't
Hmm.
have an overinflated view of who you are. At the end of the day, we're all little specks of sand, right, in this ocean that we call life. And so let's just put things in perspective.
Oh,
And
I just love it. And that's why everyone I have running on the show, like so positive. And you also mentioned, right, like there are people kind of maybe like doubting you and questioning you. I remember you shared a story when you were a student and one of your advisors with her good intention telling you that, Ronnie, stop dreaming so big, be more realistic. And so when you first heard things like that, how did that make you feel? And how did you respond to a comment like that when you were still pretty young?
well, first of all, you're so right, that it was so well intentioned. These were all people that were cheering me on and wanted
Mhm.
to see the best for me, loved me, wanted to protect me. And so, first and foremost, I acknowledged that the intentions were really good. But again, because I'm so hardwired, to be somewhat rebellious, all they needed to do was tell me to be realistic or stop dreaming big for me to do the complete opposite, right? So
Mhm.
I was determined to prove them wrong and to be that exception. And so, and in fact, the fact that they told me to be reasonable, to be realistic, to don't dream so big, actually became the fuel for me to do exactly that.
I,
To
I
do
I I love
exactly.
that, and I love how you said, earlier you said everything is figure outable. I just love that, and then you just said prove them wrong. Like it was amazing. Actually, that's an important reason that I left my home country, which is to prove my parents wrong. So kind of the different case in my situation. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Awesome, awesome. Do you feel like this attitude is still kind of ingrained in you today and influence you what you do at Adobe and as a mom?
Oh, 100%.
Mm,
100%. Because again, there is nothing that you can throw at me that I don't feel like we can work through, right?
mm,
Again, as long as no one's lives are in danger, I think everything else you make it happen, right? And
yeah.
again, this, for example, heading up employee advocacy at Adobe, it's about rallying employees to be the brand's biggest ambassadors and equipping them and empowering them to evangelize for the brand, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes there are people that come along and say, well, if you don't have social media in your job description, how can you entrust someone to go and do this? What if they embarrass the brand? But what if they derail something? I say to that, at the end of the day, what's the worst that can happen? Right?
Mm,
If something really goes wrong, you have more of a hiring problem than you do a social media problem, right? So,
that's right.
so all of that to say, it's perspective. It's
That's right.
perspective. It's
And I can
actually.
see that since I joined Adobe Insider, you are such a great leader. You are the glue that brings everyone together. And this community is growing. Like we don't only have people based in the United States, but literally from all over the globe. And really, really honored to be a part of that family. And you are doing such a great job. I also want to ask you, Rani, if you could share with us. I feel like your entire life you defined what it means to be unreasonable, right, in a good way. And you have done so many things, real life experiences that redefine that. So, can you please share a few with us? Either your volunteer experience or school experience or at Adobe. Would love to hear some stories. I really love the story where you were working with Mother Teresa. I think that was like really incredible. So, share a few stories with us.
Sure. So I can say I started, one of the earliest times of being unreasonable would have been when I came out to California for school,
Wow.
right? I left the comfort and safety of my parents and family and community in New Jersey to travel, thousands of miles away across the country on my own to go to school. And so that could be seen as unreasonable for a lot of people in my early childhood who um, advised me to go to online school, right? Why
Mhm.
put yourself out there? Why navigate campuses and physically exert yourself when there's so many wonderful online programs? So many people in my inner circle felt that that was extremely unreasonable. Then forget it, when I went to India and devoted a year to volunteering with Mother Teresa, people thought I lost my mind, right? It's hard enough to physically navigate the US, and we're so advanced infrastructurally, right? And imagine going to a third world country
Mhm.
and trying to navigate where infrastructure is so different and challenged, right? And
Yeah.
then this notion of, my goodness, you need to receive so much help. How dare you think you can be of help, right? And so that was considered an extremely unreasonable move. Then I getting married, right? In the Indian culture with arranged marriages, and especially in Kerala, where during the arranged marriage kind of situation, you as a woman, and this seems so barbaric, but this is actually what happened, back in the day, is you go in front of your groom to be and their family, and you serve them tea or coffee and some snacks, and that whole ceremony is for them to be able to check you out and see if if you meet their standards. And typically they're looking for physical wellness, right? This notion of getting married, people were like, don't even think about that. Why would you want to succumb to that kind of heartache and rejection, right?
Yeah,
So,
set yourself up for failure, right? Yeah.
don't set yourself up for failure. And then, my goodness, then I get married and 4 children. How dare you, right? That's exceptionally unreasonable. And then
Yeah.
let's talk about a career. Why would you want to go into corporate America, right? It's a doggy dog world out there. Who's going to acknowledge you or validate you or want to see you succeed? Why not stay at home and do some sort of telemarketing? So these are all just examples of what the world and my community felt were unreasonable. And so this is where I say, dare to be unreasonable. If you want to live and be happy, dare to be unreasonable.
Dare to be unreasonable. I want that to be on a t-shirt for sure. Dare to be unreasonable for sure. I love all those stories. And I also, you mentioned, kind of like just briefly about your volunteer experience in India. And I want you to share with us, what were you actually doing? Because when I first read that story, I thought you were like doing some PR or media. It was nothing like what you were actually doing. So share with us, what were you doing being a volunteer in India?
So ironically, when I signed up for that program, it was a month-long program and it was to do fundraising and PR. That was the kind of volunteer description. But I get there, and first of all, I had um, I had no idea, nor did I have an expectation that I would actually be able to see Mother. Not only did I see her, I served alongside of her for an entire year, right? And so when I went there, and there was 10 of us, we arrived day one orientation. No one but the mother herself came out to do the orientation. And the orientation was as simple as people were snaked around the building, right? Lines upon lines of people waiting to get into the home for the sick and dying. And so basically she handed us rags, she handed us rags and said, go help these people die with dignity. And so that's what I did. Day over day, month over month. I was meant to be there for a month. I begged and pleaded to stay for a year because I have never felt as fulfilled and as alive and as purpose driven as I was during that time. It was unbelievable. And so, and I was 18. I was 18. I had no idea what dying was, what dignity was. I was beside myself.
Wow. Wow. Was that your very first time to kind of serve abroad?
Well, I've been abroad quite a bit at that point. I've been blessed with lots of travel opportunities, but never to do volunteer.
To serve, yeah, incredible. I think that really planted the seed for you to do what you are actually doing at Adobe, serving in a very different way, but still serving, bringing people. I think you are very relationship centered. You just you can bring people together for sure. Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
love people, right?
Everyone is
so much energy for me.
Yeah, everyone is really inspired by your amazing story. Thank you for joining us live. Michael, based in the UK, and parents, and Zizi also awesome experience. Everyone is in love, and our friend Pooja, actually based in India, she has been watching my show, asking always great questions. A young student, is it really important to get into those 4 years degree to have a great life? How to just focus on what we love or obsessed for? So great question for you, Rani. You are someone who I think has really discovered your calling in life. And we can see that from your face, right? You are so happy. You love what you are doing. So you are living your dream life perfectly. So for young people like Pooja, based in India, give her some advice, right? Do you think for your college is really necessary? Especially if the degree she's pursuing is not in alignment with what she truly wants to do. So give her some advice.
So here's the thing, there's the mother in me that says that that piece of paper opens doors. And so what I would say is this: you definitely, in this day and age, right, in the 21st century, when there is an exponential amount of talent, sorry,
No
when
worries.
exponential amount of talent in the world, and it's a very competitive situation, you do need a piece of paper to kind of open doors. Now, as to what that piece of paper signifies, you get to decide what you major in and what kind of a degree you get, and there's so many different ways to get to that golden egg, right? There's so many different paths to the end of the rainbow. And so I don't want to make it seem like 4-year degrees are the only way, but I just know in this day and age, that piece of paper really carries a lot of weight. Now, then from there, this notion of how do you figure out what you're passionate about? I would say stop torturing yourself about what are you passionate about. Rather, think about, I really believe, I and Pooja, that you are able to figure out what you're extremely good at by doing things, right?
Mhm.
Engagement, right? Actually go out and try different things versus being stuck in your head. Because I think you can really sit here and pontificate and torture yourself and take all these tests that the internet is full of to figure out what you're passionate about, but rather actually figure it out by actually doing. And
Mhm.
so ask people, what is it that you think I'm particularly good at? And think about what things have come naturally for you from when you were young, and what are things that you can talk about day over day, endlessly, without losing momentum. And what are things that come effortlessly to you that other people find difficult? Those are all ways to determine um, what you're good at and where your skills are and what your strengths are, and definitely follow those things. But I think, and education goes hand in hand, right? The mother in me cannot tell you not to do that, because I've seen the difference in earning power. I've seen the difference in just quality of life. Not that money is the source of all happiness, but we know that it takes money to make the world go round. And just as a little tidbit, Mother Teresa, when I thought I wanted to be a nun like her, and when I was convinced that I was not going to return to the US, she kicked me out. She said, "Stop being stupid." She
Mhm.
said, "Go back home and get as much education as you possibly can, because you will be able to give so much more by being educated and by getting the best job you can and making the most money you can." And
Mhm.
her biggest lesson to me was, your head and your heart are not mutually exclusive, right? Those are two body parts that belong to the same body. So
Mhm.
you can be very much service oriented, but you can be, you know, top of your top of your game, and
Mhm.
you can make as much money as possible, and it's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Nothing is impossible as
That's
long
right.
as you don't think they are impossible. Yeah, she loves it. Yeah, you're right. And she actually took quite a few tests to really check out her potential. Actually, that's what I would do at Classroom Without Walls for my students. A very important lesson they do is kind of personality test, value test, so that they are choosing a career not only based on their academic strengths, but also based on who they are, what are their core values, makes such a big difference. I also
Yeah.
want to add what you mentioned earlier, right? The tea ceremony, like people are actually checking you out in India, the appearance. I could so relate to this because I actually grew up in China before I came to the US in my early 20s. And even when we were applying for jobs and resume, on our resume, we had to list our name, of course, and also our weight, our body weight, and our height, and all those crazy things. And a picture, they want to look at you, how pretty you are. It's like that is so crazy. Yeah, yeah. I just want to add that story. Really interesting. So today, Ronnie, not only you are doing amazing things at Adobe, but also you are a mom, right? You
Yeah.
have 4 children. Incredible. So tell us more about your children. And also, I'm interested in learning how has this really incredible background, from your parents, your personal experience, how has that influenced your parenting approach? So if you can share those things with us, that would be great.
Yeah. So I have 4 children who are literally my heart, right? With arms and legs. My oldest is 21, which I don't know how that happened. I mean, I literally turned 20
Fiber.
in July, right? I'm 20 myself, so how in the world is she 21? So she is studying to be an FBI agent in New York. Her name is Jyoti. And then my
You're not
second,
supposed to tell us the name, right? If FBI agent.
well, I think she's going to go do more around public policy, more
I
so
love
than the
it.
just because I think she's learning there's so much other ways that she could channel her um, channel her criminal psychology background and the forensic psychology that she's studying. Then my second son, Joshua, he is actually just recently got a job at Tesla. And one of his first official jobs, if you will, and he's also taking some business classes, distance learning from home. And then my third child, Jasmine, she is a senior in high school and she's applying to colleges as we speak. And my youngest is 14 and he's a freshman in high school. So, they surely keep me on my toes. And what I've learned though, I'm simply a vehicle, right? I'm a steward. I have stewardship over them. I don't control them. They are intact spirits that I have the honor of molding and shaping and um, nudging, right? But at the end of the day, they're going to do what they're going to do.
Mhm.
They have very unique skills and strengths and very specific things that they've been brought on earth to do. And my hope is to help tease what that is out of them and help them get on that path,
It's
right?
amazing. And it seems like at least your older kids, they are on really good paths. They know exactly what they want, FBI agent, Tesla. Congratulations. Amazing, amazing, amazing mom. So how did you serve as a vehicle? How did you facilitate them discovering their calling? I feel like so many parents also, again, with our good intention, we want to control things, right? It's just very hard to not do it. So how do you balance between like feeling the need, the urge to dictate their life, as opposed to being a vehicle, which is so beautifully said, as you mentioned. I love that word, being a
Well,
vehicle.
kids, and the joke is on me, right? In terms of, as rebellious as I was when I was young, they are 10 times as much, right? So they teach me how they need to be parented. And practically, I mean, I spend my entire day and night on my knees in prayer. I don't know any other way to do it because this is I go to work for a vacation, right? I can do my job at Adobe with my hands tied behind my back. But boy, when it comes to these 4 people's salvation and their better life, I am literally brought to my knees. It is overwhelming, it is hard, it is an honor, it is a privilege, and it is scary, right? It is scary. And so I just keep reminding myself that they they are complete human beings. They made a choice to come into this family. I'm gifted with an opportunity to be part of their experience, and so seeing it as that, seeing it as a I get to do this outside of, rather than thinking about it as, gosh, I'm riddled with this burden, right? It's a very different perspective. And
Mhm.
so, but I think you've heard me say one of my biggest ways of going about it is the filter that I use. I say to myself, if they're entering anything that might shorten their life or shatter their dreams, then I'm going to fight tooth and nail, right? Whether it be drugs or whether it be, oh, I'm not going to go to school, or, so if it's going to shorten their life or shatter their dreams, then I'm going to really get involved and get into their kitchen. Everything else, I'm going to get out of their way and let them learn and flourish and follow their dreams and go in the direction that they know they need to go.
I love this. I actually took a note when I was listening to interviews when you said it was so powerful. Shatter your dream and shorten your life. And so, did you clearly communicate that to your children, or you kind of use that as a hidden your personal rubric when it comes to parenting, or you guys have like open communication about this principle?
Oh, no. I communicated to them, whether they hear it, understand it, who really knows, right? But I do say it to them. You know, I'm going to fight you on this because you've told me that you have this dream, right? If this dream is still valid, then these three things that you're doing, it's going to shatter your dreams, and here's why, right? So we
So,
can do some drag out, knockout fights. It's not always fun. So I don't want anyone to, think here that I've got it figured out, because I don't, right? I'm learning on the job, but um, unlike my job at Adobe or any of our jobs, wherever we go, this notion of family and I truly believe families are forever, and I believe in the eternities and things like that. So this is my biggest job, is raising these children.
I so agree. I only have two, half of your challenge. And I think being a mom is definitely the hardest job. It is way harder than starting my own business, way harder than getting that PhD degree. And I so agree with you. I so agree with you. Do you mind sharing with us some of your specific tactics when there are actually conflict, right? When you catch your kids doing something that are indeed shortening their life, shattering their dreams, like how do you approach it? Like I think that is sometimes I find very challenging, and some of the parents I work with, like when everything's peaceful, we can talk about managing your own emotions, this and that. But when there is a bad situation, oh my God, all of a sudden anger, frustration, naming, calling, labeling, all those things that come out. So how do you handle a situation like a conflict with your kid? How do you like most strategically handle that? So we actually solve the problem, not like directly toward, targeting the person.
Right. So there's no one size fits all, right? All four of these children were born of the same parents, grew up in the same household, but they couldn't be more different than one another, right? They're so different. So parents, what kind of pushes their buttons. You kind of figure out what speaks to them, right? And so I use that, just like we use influence and negotiation. Um, at work, I do the same at home, right? But the thing is, more is on the line when it comes to at home. So I just simply don't give up, right? And I attack it head on. I call it what it is, especially with my older kids, right? Just as they call my BS, I call their BS, right? When my son says, "Oh, well, I'm doing my 2-year degree right now, and with the hopes of entering into a 4-year program." Okay, great. But you're not handing in a single assignment. So how do you expect to get out of your 2-year and go to a 4-year? Oh, but that's because I'm working. Okay, so then I guess you don't want to go to a 4-year, right? Like just really mirroring back to them what it is that they're saying. And I think once they know that you're attacking the problem and not the person, and no matter what, you love them unconditionally, and that you are their biggest cheerleader, uh, and that ultimately you would lay down your life for them. It's a very different proposition, right? And I always tell them, I don't have to like you, right? I love you, but there are times I don't like you just as much as you don't like me, and that's fine. But no one is going to give you this kind of tough love, right? There's a world of friends and yes sayers, but you're only going to have one mom. And so all I can say is it's not easy. It's not easy, but it is the most fulfilling thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I love it. That's kind of how I approach when my children did things wrong. I will actually tell them, I love you very much, but I don't like the fact that you actually lied to me. You were doing things that you were not supposed to do. But I put that into the overarching context, especially with us. We actually homeschool our children, so they don't really have a teacher to tell them things right and wrong. So my husband and we are like really like tough love every day for sure. Yeah. So here's a great question from Josiah, joining us live from Nigeria. So really excited to have him with us.
Yeah.
So this is a great question. How did you cope with some of the decisions made by your children that are actually conflicting with your own values?
Oh my gosh, it kills me, right? I'm going to be very honest with you, Josiah. It literally rips the heart out of me, right? Because you see, it's like when I mean the age old adage of when a child goes to touch a burning stove,
Hmm.
right? Your instinct is to pull them away and to protect them and save them, right? And so this is where maybe I'm not going to be politically correct here. When they do things that I know are going to shatter their dreams and shorten their life, one or the other or both, I get in there and I do not let them make their own decisions. I
Hmm.
do not give them agency,
Hmm.
especially when they're under 18 and living under my roof.
Hmm.
I'm a little bit of a dictator.
Hmm.
And so, and so now that the two are over the age of 18, you don't get to control as much, right? And control is really not the way to go anyway. But now it's more appealing to their emotions and
Hmm.
appealing to their greater good and the person they are and the person they want to be, and really kind of using some of my psychology background to, to help them get to where they want to be. I know
Hmm.
that's not a very clear answer, and the reason it's not so clear is because it's so complex, and
Hmm.
every situation is different, and
Hmm.
every child is different. Um, but again, there's nothing that you cannot do through love, right?
Hmm.
If you're well
Ah.
intentioned, and if you love them through and through, and they feel that love,
Hmm.
then together you figure things out.
Yeah, yeah. I love this is so good. Michael is resonating, I don't have to like you, but I always love you. I think so this is so good. What I'm hearing from you is such a good balance between collaboration, right? You give them the freedom. And also when it is necessary, you also exercise that authority figure. And I so agree, especially for me, kind of coming from the Chinese background. I think just giving the children, especially when they're so young, they don't really have the analytical brain to see the consequences like a few years down the road. I think it is our job to help them discover that and work on the situation. Yeah, yeah.
Well, two other things I would say is one, modeling, right? I try to model everything I'm putting out. There's nothing I will ask them to do that I'm not willing to do myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I also call out when I make mistakes. I'm very transparent with them about the fact, wow, I really messed up here. And here are my consequences that I'm facing. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think being vulnerable like that mom can mess up, that adults mess up, I think that's really eye opening for them. The other thing, which is the really fun part of my role as a mom, is to go out of my way to catch them doing something wonderful, right? They're constantly doing amazing things.
Mm-hmm.
And I go out of my way to catch them doing those wonderful things. And
Mm-hmm.
I highlight it to them, I highlight it to the world because I'm so proud. And so
Yeah, yeah. It's such a yeah. I'm modeling, right? Like sometimes it's so much easier to say things than actually doing this, right? Healthy eating, learning, pursuing your dream. Don't ever give up. My children will sometimes catch me, Mom. Don't give up. Don't say that about yourself. And I'll say yes. It's such a great reminder. Yeah, yeah. I also love actually my own children told me like, Mom, you can tell me that I'm not good at this yet, but also you have to point out things that I'm really good at. So we try every time when we say something that needs to be improved, we also highlight something that is like so good, a positive and quotation marks negative, so they don't feel like being criticized all the time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I also want to ask you, Rani, you are like here, by the way, from Wonder Woman. I so agree. I absolutely agree. And I want to ask you, you are the most positive and emotional resilient person I have ever met in my life, online and in real life. I just love how positive you are. So first, I want to ask you, how do you stay so emotionally resilient, right? How do you handle tough situation? And so how do you build your own resilience? And also, how do you help your children to become emotional resilient? And I read so many articles and research studies showing that today, young children, teenagers, they are committing suicides because they have a bad grade or they had a conflict with their roommate. Crazy. Just during COVID, quite a few of my friends, they lost their teenagers, they committed suicide, which is so, so, so sad. So share with us, how do you cultivate your own emotional resilience and how do you pass that on to your children?
I would say it starts with gratitude for me. I am so grateful. And when I name my blessings one by one, I'm
Mm,
humbled beyond belief. Like, what in the world do I have to complain about? Right?
mm,
I've got running water. Like, even in this world of COVID, at the end of the day, what am I asked to do? I'm asked
mm,
to sit on my couch, do my work with running water, with electricity, with food in the fridge, right? Like, I am so, so blessed that gratitude and really, really honing in on what I've already got, that is a huge thing for me. The other
mm,
thing, I've got an amazing support system, right?
mm,
Where our community, whether it be our insiders, whether it be my family, my friends, right? Like, such a wonderful support system that we are able to build each other up,
mm,
um, and be there for one another. But the other big thing, and this is a belief I have, right? We are called human beings, right? Not human
mm.
doing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I am really focused on who's the person I am and who do I want to be versus what are all the things I'm doing and what are all the things I've yet to do. So
Mm,
because I'm pivoting, I am pivoting on putting the putting the emphasis on being. I want to be a thankful, gracious, fun, playful person that other people want to be around,
mm,
right? There's not this like, oh my goodness, I don't have my PhD yet, so I'm a
mm,
bad person. I
mm,
don't, I don't have $1 million saved away in my account yet, so
mm,
therefore I'm not good enough, right? Because I'm more focused on the being, I feel like resilience is a lot easier for me because
mm,
I have this notion of well, this is something Mother Teresa taught me as well, right? Everything in life is a blessing or a lesson.
mm,
If everything in life is a blessing or a lesson, then there is no failure. And I'm very focused on, okay, the past is the past. Where am I going from this moment forward?
mm,
People do better when they know better. So I know better now on whatever the situation is. What am I now going to do differently from this moment forward?
mm,
And so these are the things that I talk to my kids about. This is why when I praise my kids, I'm very specific about, gosh, you put in the work.
mm,
So now
mm,
you earned the grade.
mm,
Not, I don't say, gosh, you're brilliant, right? I try to be very specific about what is it that they did
mm,
to achieve what they have.
mm,
Versus giving them these things like, oh, you're so brilliant, you're so beautiful. Those, I mean, I say those things too, but I'm just saying I also try to get into the specifics of what they did because once they understand what that success formula is, then they can replicate it, right? It's not accidental success. And
mm,
in fact, my oldest daughter, she was not like a straight A student in high school or anything, but she got this amazing scholarship to go to study forensic psychology in New York. And we specifically asked the recruiter, gosh, she failed a couple of her classes. She, in high school, she had an average GPA. Why did she get this scholarship? Why was she selected? And he specifically said, you showed grit, Jyoti. You showed
wow.
the fact that you know how to fall down and get back up.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't graduate high school without this math class. You failed it like 1.5 times before you actually got a passing grade. She didn't get a B, she got a C. But he's like, that's fine, because too many of the A+ students come to college and they realize that they're in a much more competitive environment. And now that they're not the best of the best, they don't know what to do with themselves. And so they're committing suicide. And so that's not what I want. I want somebody who knows that it's okay to fall down so long as you pick yourself back up.
Wow, powerful example. And the example you just shared with me reminds me of the latest Adobe study I just read, the deciding factor. Did you have a chance to check it out, Rani, the deciding factor? Yeah, it's an Adobe study. And so in that study, they talked about, they interviewed so many high school students, counselors, college admissions officers, and they identified a list of factors that schools are considering to enroll the students into their colleges. And number one is actually not GPA. It's not like straight A. Number one is actually interview skills. And the second one, I think, is creative problem solving and communication. And the third one is personality, authenticity. So it is really interesting that you share that case with you, which really reminds me of this Adobe study. Yeah. And she is definitely, I think character building is a lot harder, right, than actually preparing for an exam. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And when things get tough, I really do believe when things get tough, character is not created, character is revealed, right? And so the true person in you comes out when you're up against a real obstacle.
Say that again, my friend. I need to write it down so everyone can get it. Character is not created. It is revealed, right?
Yeah, during tough times. Tough times don't create character, they reveal character.
So powerful. And Gayatri is just like reflecting on this thing you just said, everything's a lesson or blessing. Like that is such a great positive attitude to look at life. Oftentimes we feel defeated by like little things, failures or mistakes. But if we can learn something from it, right, it is a lesson.
That's right. That's right. And oftentimes when life tells us no, it's because something else. My fundamental truth that I live by is that the universe is conspiring. The universe is conspiring for my greater good, right? It may not be here yet, but the universe is conspiring for my greater good. And so if that's my belief, then I attack life with the notion of, oh gosh, I walk on water, and again, the what my parents did for me, I cannot dismiss or downplay, right? When my father, I was explaining my disability to me, this is what he said to me. He said, Ronnie, you are so perfect that if there wasn't something to equalize you to the rest of us, you would have been translated straight back to heaven. So your disability was given to you to make you equal to the rest of us. And so when you are constantly, when that tsunami of like positivity and possibility are showered on you, you believe, you genuinely grow up believing that you walk on water, right? Like, and I don't mean that from an elitist kind of privileged prima donna way. But, I really do believe I'm unstoppable and that there's nothing that I can't do.
Yeah, so powerful. I'm sure your children, they are just like being influenced by you on a daily basis, right? Like even though you are now teaching, verbally communicating things, you, as you mentioned earlier, you are this really great positive model for your kids. And wow, such a important life.
I got to tell you though, your kids in your home, who do they listen the least to? You, right? You might think I'm this inspiration, whatever. To them, I'm just mom, right? So I don't know how much they're picking up. I hope I'm able to influence them a bit, but at the
I'm
end of the
sure
day,
a lot, especially in tough times. In tough times, I'm sure they will come to them. Like, yeah, exactly. So I want to ask this question actually because my own children, and they love Adobe. I told Ronnie before we went live, and my kids, they have been using Adobe Spark since they were 6. They have created so many Adobe Spark pages to reflect. Right now, my 9-year-old is doing a fencing. He does fencing, doing a reflection on fencing. I'm trying to show some. And he loved it. So he asked you this question. So I want to make sure that he will be mad at me. So what do you think is your biggest accomplishment in life, Ronnie?
Oh my goodness. I really do think it's these kids. It's these
Oh,
poor children, the fact that they're all still alive. I think because there are times I am telling you, I thought to myself, gosh, I brought you into this world, I can take you out, right? So the fact that we all still talk to each other and that we're happy and healthy, I really take a lot of pride. I take a tremendous amount of pride.
amazing. I love that. I love that. Also, I cannot let you go without asking you a question about creativity. To me, Adobe is the most creative company on planet Earth, right? So how do you stay creative, and how do you help your children cultivate their creativity muscle? Are there certain exercises or that you do at home, or like, classes? So share with us.
Just being silly, being super silly, not being bound by rules, right? I always ask myself and I ask my kids, what would you do? What would you want to put out into the world if you did not worry about criticism and evaluation?
Mm,
Um, and if you thought everything that you wanted to do would be met with a standing ovation,
mm,
what would you actually produce? And so when you're not limited by criticism and fear, it's amazing the kind of things that you think you want to do. And so
mm,
just asking those kind of reflective questions.
mm,
What would you do if you didn't have to worry that
mm.
this might fail or somebody might not have so many nice things to say about it? What
Yeah.
would you actually do?
Yeah, it reminds me of what you shared earlier. Don't treat yourself so seriously, right? Like have fun, like be a little bit more playful. Yeah, yeah. Which also
Yeah.
reminds me my interview with Duncan Wardle. I don't know if you know him. He serves as former VP of innovation at Disney, and one key element he shared with us on the show is if you want to be creative, you have to stay playful. Exactly what you have just shared with us. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Very good. I want to share my screen real quick. This is something that my son asked me to share. He's really proud of his Adobe. This was actually the very first Adobe Spark page that I created when he was literally 6. So he was much younger, and he did a video explaining Adobe and how our family, they're way much younger back then, and also our traveling to different parts. I think this one is in Malaysia, Pokemon, India.
Is
Yeah.
this Aiden or is this Evan?
Yeah, this is my younger one, Evan. So this one is created by Aiden. Welcome to Aiden's adventure. He literally created this.
Oh,
Yeah, it's such a. I
beautiful.
really appreciate Adobe for doing what they do to make learning for fun. And Adobe Spark is free. And I tell every single parent it's like such a great way to practice their storytelling, reflection, journaling. I just love it. I want to show it to you.
So glad. And we believe at Adobe everybody has a story to tell, right? And our whole mission is to empower creativity for everyone, democratize creativity. And
Oh,
so that
totally. And with like Adobe Spark, many of your tools, people can actually collaborate. And he does collaborative storytelling with children in different countries. It is so powerful. I just can't believe that now in this really classroom without walls environment. Yeah, so really, really good. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
we need him to make Spark videos now.
oh,
So
he
now
has been doing quite a few. Yeah, I would ask him to do one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He loves you guys. We have lots of swag from Adobe. But anyway, so great. What an amazing conversation. Everyone is feeling so inspired. So, any parting piece of advice that you want to share with us, Rani, in terms of empowering our children to dream big?
well, start before you're ready. That's my mantra, right? Start before you're ready because what is this notion of being ready? Like if I stuck with my, oh, I have to wait until I have a white picket fence and X amount of money in my bank before I got married or had children or just start before you're ready, because there is no such thing as ready. Just put it out there and see what happens.
Yeah, so true. The journey will help you ready, right? The journey will actually become the destination. The journey will prepare you.
That's right. Yeah. Engagement and doing is what's going to get you there, not your thinking and pontificating, right? The other thing is, I would say, the person who helps the most wins. You know, just make sure that you are not taking up space on earth, that you are actually doing something to help somebody else achieve their goals and their dreams.
So good. And this is exactly, I think that perfectly summarizes your life, how you have helped so many people to get to next level and look at where you have come to. So amazing, amazing reflection. Yeah. So share with us, where can people learn more about you and like connect with you on social media? I have your Twitter handle here.
Yeah, that's the best way. I'm active on Twitter and then LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm curious, is 0707 your birthday?
It is something they tell you never to do.
No way. That is my birthday. Because I meant to ask you, July 7th is also my birthday.
Me? We're meant to be.
I can't believe it. Oh my God. That's incredible. Yeah, and here is Rani's LinkedIn profile. Make sure to connect with this amazing woman, leader, and mom. What an inspiration. So excited to have you spend almost an hour, not almost, an entire hour with us. And on a Friday morning. Thank you so much, Rani. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us live from all over the globe. I really appreciate you guys. I hope you are enjoying today's interview. Make sure to connect with Rani on all the social media channels and give her some love and let her know how much you are inspired by our interview and by her journey. And I hope to see you again next Friday or Saturday. For some of you, the same time, same location. I have another amazing education leader on the show. So really excited for next week's discussion. And thank you so much again, Rani. You are amazing, my friend.
Thank you, so much. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Yes. Bye, everyone.